What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Today I am going to give you some tips and tricks on laying down turf to give you the best lay of your life. So I'm going to take you through some steps on things that I do to ensure success. I'm going to show you some things maybe you haven't seen before that could potentially save you some money in the future and definitely give you the best looking lawn as quickly as possible. So let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so let's talk site prep for a second. I think this is one of the things that when you're putting in a new lawn get way overlooked, especially if you have a new construction home in a new neighborhood. Oftentimes, your soil isn't going to be prepped enough and ready for turf. And when you get that sort of contractor-laid lawn, it doesn't necessarily come out the way that it should. So if there's ways to prevent that or to make it better, I'd like to help with that right now. So one of the first and best things that you can ever do is lay down some topsoil. Get some topsoil down on whatever ground might be there if your soil isn't looking that great. If it's rocky, if it's sandy, if it's super hard pan clay, get yourself some topsoil and bring it in. I'd recommend a bare minimum of 3 inches. That would be a wonderful coverage and that will help your turf immensely. Now here's something to consider. When you put down 3 inches of topsoil, that is going to automatically start to compact itself back out to around 1 inch and 1 3/4 inches. When you bring your turf in, you're getting about another inch of soil, which is going to give you somewhere between 2.5 and maybe up to 3 inches of soil between whatever layer you had underneath it. This can be vitally important and it's something to consider. You may want to put more down. So step 1, super important. Make sure you bring in a good base for your new sod. One thing that is absolutely vitally important here is that you get this as smooth as possible. One thing that YouTube lawn care community is known for is making sand leveling or leveling lawn videos over and over and over and over again, trying to fix or smooth out their bumpy lawn. While some of that can come from drought, insect damage, things like that, and you need to patch it in, it's understandable, but it's not something that you want to spend your time doing. So the goal is to get this as smooth as possible. Smooth as possible. So what I'm looking for when I come through is any rocks that are about 3/4 of an inch or larger, I'm gonna toss out. They won't all get picked up with the rake, so part of the sod laying process is going to be taking those and tossing them away as we come across this hillside. So the next thing I want to talk to you about is water and making your lawn more drought tolerant. And I think this is something that's often overlooked in the very beginning. Here in the West, we are having a pretty major drought. I don't want to run the risk of losing anything in the soil or having to water too much beyond the capacity of what the soil can hold. So one thing that got me into this business way back in the beginning was doing polymer injection for lawns. So in this area, polymers are being placed at a depth of about 3 to 4 inches below the growing grass. Now, there's a couple of different ways to do that. As I mentioned before, if you're going to bring in topsoil, that's a great time. You can take the polymers out, you put them down at about 5 pounds per thousand, put your soil down on top of it, lay down your turf. That's great. If you have a lot of soil to work with, you can put it down and start raking it through as you're doing your final grade and get it down and worked into the soil. There's a multitude of ways to do that, and you can have different depths to where those polymers go. What I can say is this is the only time you're going to get to do it. You can't do it after the turf is in. It won't do you any good. You will slime everything out, and that's not going to work. The total investment to do that on this section, on the area where turf is going in today, for me is costing about $180 roughly to have that much material put down where I need it. So they can be found in a variety of places online. Just look for the best price. I'll put some links in the comments below. So what are the benefits that you actually get out of it? Well, aside from holding a significant amount of water, you get expansion and contraction inside the soil profile, which lends itself to greater aeration and less compaction. These are important things, especially if you continue to want your roots to go down deeper and deeper into the soil and actually have a much greener lawn during the hottest months by getting the most out of your watering cycles. When you go to pick up your turf, it's coming off the field in sort of the best case scenario. It's been fed, it's been nurtured, it's been watered, and it's ready because it's under stress to get into the ground and to start getting the roots back down to where it needs to be. Establishing that root system quickly is super important. So I always do 2 things. One is I actually will pre-treat this soil. And for me today, I'm going to use Green Pop. I'm going to spray it just like turf existed here at 15 ounces per thousand and spray that all out before I put the turf down. As soon as I get the turf down, I'm going to go ahead and spray the whole thing with RGS, start watering it, and start getting those roots to grow as quickly as possible, because again, establishment is the key to success here. Okay, so you've got everything prepped, it's ready, you know what you're going to do, but you haven't figured out exactly what turf you need. Now this is where a little bit of research is going to go in, and I suggest you start contacting local sod growers. Talk to them about drought tolerance, what's going to do best in your zone. Really get down to the nitty-gritty. If they can grow good turf down the street, then you can grow it well in your own lawn, and I think that's very important. Try not to be too divergent. Get something that's going to be nice, easy, low maintenance, that's going to look beautiful, good color. Really dive into that, but know that what's being grown around you is obviously going to have the best success right where you are. So that's really super key. So the turf is now on site, and as you can see, it's pretty dry already. It was harvested this morning, and just because it's been so hot and dry, it's drying out pretty quick. So we're gonna get this down pretty fast, lay a nice brick style pattern as we do it. Make sure the edges are rolled and tucked, and get this in there nice and tight, so it'll be super fun. So as you can see, we are making some serious headway in some short time. I can't stress the importance of having a good team to do it all quickly, easily, and most of all, have a lot of fun doing it. So now that the turf is in, it's been cut, pulled together, it's as tight as it's going to be, it's time to start watering, and this is vitally important. Now the way that I'm running my system right now is 10 minutes on my Rainbird pop-ups, I'm running at 15 minutes on my Hunter rotors, and that's giving me pretty good spread, but the biggest and most important thing to do here is to make sure that you are keeping the soil moist down to about 3 to 4 inches. That's really going to be the key. So you could be looking at running different times based on what types of sprinkler heads you're using and the volume of water being put out. So the last thing I'm going to do here today is put an application of RGS down after these sprinklers run through one full cycle and start to get those roots going down a bit deeper. Beyond that, for future care, it'll just be establishing the rooting before I come back in and start doing any mowing, probably within about the next 10 to 14 days, or doing any other subsequent feedings. Just focus on letting those roots set, let the grass settle in, the soil underneath it settle in, and get ready to just have a lot of fun on the new lawn. Hey, if you liked the video, make sure you're subscribed, because the next one that you're going to see is all of the behind the scenes nonsense that happened out here where things don't quite go as expected. So make sure you check that out. It's gonna be pretty fun. I'll talk to you guys real soon. See ya.